You mentioned the PG-13 rating. Did you have any other restraints working in the studio system that affected your process that was either a challenge or an opportunity?
The question about whether, other than the PG-13 rating, there were any studio-imposed conditions, or what it was like working in the studio system on this movie.
Well, I mean, in regards to the PG-13 rating, the only other area where it really came up, well, there were two actually. There was a number of swear words. You know, you can say fuck once. And we were very selective as to where that would be used. It's like our power tool at that moment. And then we obviously had the body, the reveal, which was a real balance as far as getting what I needed across, which was I wanted the audience to understand he's not getting up and going anywhere. You know, he's not going to save himself. So that was really important, and at the same level, we had to make sure that it wasn't so gruesome as I would originally have intended it, that we couldn't actually show it. So we came up with the balance that we got there. As far as how I myself found myself having to deal with the situation, it was actually it was fairly benign. I went through a learning curve, obviously, coming off of an independent film where myself, my producer Stuart Finnegan, and Sam Rockwell made all the decisions. You know, when we were making Moon, it was basically the three of us. We'd make a decision, and we could move like that and add a scene if we wanted to, or just change it dramatically. When you're working on a film like this and you're spending millions of dollars of other people's money, you really have to be very careful and make sure that you're able to help everyone understand the decisions you're making and make sure that they all feel comfortable with that movie. Sometimes it's a little bit like the difference between, you know, driving a speedboat and captaining an oil tanker. You know, you have to move incrementally, and you have to plan very much ahead and help everyone understand where it is you're trying to get to. But that's actually a really useful discipline to have anyway, and it's something I used to do in the commercials industry anyway. So it's something I was familiar with.
Time for one more up here. Yes. It's a question about what's going on when Coulter is inside the capsule and he sees the leaking hydraulic fluid, or it's cold, and all those kind of environmental changes. If this is all just a manifestation of his mind.
Yeah, I think you kind of were onto it. The idea is that the physical body of Coulter Stevens at the Nellis Air Force Base is having its own physiological responses to what's going on to it, and he's interpreting those in the manifestation. So if he's running a temperature, going through cold sweats, starting to leak bodily fluid, any of those things are being incorporated into that manifestation. So he may go through what he believes is the capsule freezing, or, you know, there are liquids just leaking from the walls. All of those things are being incorporated into them. And I mean, to expand on that notion, he starts off in a pod which is much smaller and more coherent to him. It makes sense in that the last thing he remembers is being a helicopter pilot in Afghanistan. What he starts off in is something which is obviously not a helicopter, but it feels like some kind of cockpit, and he's able to sort of follow orders and feel like he knows where he is. Over the course of the film, that whole environment morphs and changes and grows and ends up in something which looks more like a prison cell. And I'm sure you noticed, but the window that starts off in front of him in the cockpit and ends up as a much sort of larger window, like an old medieval cell at the end of it, is the same glass window, the same shape as the window that his body can see when he's lying in that incubator at the end of the film.
Duncan Jones' source code opens on April 1st.